Many of my clients who contact me for online coaching have already had a baby happily. They fell pregnant the first time very easily, very quickly, and a lot of people now choose to breastfeed for over a year. Of course, some people choose not to do it or they're not able to. But then, when the first child is approaching a year and a half or even two, they start thinking about a sibling. They may well have always been very clear that they wanted to have more than one child, or they just feel instinctively this is the time they'd like to expand their family, and they are very shocked when they don't get pregnant easily. It happens. And I think it can happen for a number of reasons. Sometimes a woman has undergone a cesarean and never had a checkup. In the UK, I hear this frequently. They've had a cesarean, nobody ever called me back for a checkup, just after the district nurse saw me a few weeks, after the baby was born, but, she just asked me a few basic questions. They've never been back to see a specialist or a gynecologist, or they've never had a checkup as such. And they may have some scarring on the inside of the uterus where they've had the incision. They could have, well, it's been found a lot further down the line by clients of mine who've had extensive investigation. They have some fluid gathering around the scar area when they've had a cesarean. Actually, this reminds me of a wonderful hypnobirther who I worked with, and she said, it's an opening window to the world. So that's what is preferred language when you talk about where the baby came out from. We don't use the SCAR word anymore. So we'll give it a more positive word. So that could be an issue. Also, the man and the woman are not the people they were when they conceived almost 3 years ago in some cases. I frequently see women who have done on-demand feeding, they've done attachment parenting, and frankly, they're exhausted. They are totally exhausted. And then added into that, sometimes they've gone back to work and had to find childcare arrangements. The baby may be teething, but pretty well much always they are tired or tired to the point of exhaustion. Yes, things are improving. The baby's not waking up 6 times every night. I'm not feeding constantly, but I see it from an outside perspective and they're still very tired. Of course, the man's health may have changed. So, again, as I would in a primary situation, in secondary infertility, as it's called, or subfertility, I would suggest that the couple check their hormone profile, that they do some blood work, the guy gets a sperm test again, and see where they are. The other thing which comes across sometimes with clients in consultation is that on paper there is no reason for them not conceiving, but they're not. And I delve a little deeper into their personal life, their situation. It sounds so fundamental, but often they're not having sex at the right time of the month because there may be avoidance from one partner or the other. They may not be in the same city at the same time in the right place. I've even seen women who are quite far down the journey in secondary infertility, as in they have been trying to have that second child for a year and a half, 2 years. I've even seen them have the husband's sperm washed and frozen so that they can use it for intrauterine insemination if their husband's living abroad, which can happen. It's not ideal, but it can happen. So there may be multiple hurdles that need to be overcome. And the other thing, well, going back to that, it's exhaustion. It's one partner or the other not wanting to have sex. When I'm dealing with this and I'm seeing people on a regular basis, I'm doing online coaching on a regular basis, obviously I need to be considerate of that person's feelings, but I do say, did you have sex this month between the 8th and the 16th day, for example? And the answer frequently is no, we didn't. Well, then you're not going to conceive. So, preserving energy as and when possible, asking for help, ask grandparents to help, ask neighbours who volunteer, ask friends, ask aunties, ask uncles. Give yourself some downtime, give yourself some repairing time. And then try to have sex at the right time of the month. Again, very fundamental, but it happens that people are not doing this. And then the other thing I explore, if this has been the theme for several months in a row when I'm doing online coaching with my clients, obviously there's something deeper. It could be fear of financial insecurity. One of the parents may have taken maternity leave, paternity leave. One of them may have gone back to work. They both may have gone back to work and they're paying quite a high price for childcare. And it could be that subconsciously or consciously with denial or avoidance, they are really, really reluctant to have a second child or scared because they just can't afford it. And they feel very, very anxious about that perspective, sort of, I'm going to have to tell my boss again that I'm pregnant. I've only just come back. I had maternity leave for a year, and then it's a year and a half, and I'm trying to conceive again, and then next year I'll be going on maternity leave again, particularly if it's a very small company. Or if they are very invested in the company, if they've had a senior role and they really care about their job, and all of a sudden, again, they're going to take 6 months or a year off, whatever they're contracted to do, whatever they can do. So that could be one of the issues. Sometimes, and more traditionally for a man, he might be a stay-at-home father, but if he's going to work and the mother's staying at home with the baby, men are not good at talking about how worried they are about the additional burden, responsibility, prospect of supporting a family with 2 children. It's very expensive, and again, I deal with a lot of international clients who have little or no family around them for support. They've got nobody they can call on if their child is sick, the child can't go to nursery, and they're back at work. If the child has a fever or a temperature and the babysitter or childminder can't accept it within a group of other small toddlers, they've got nobody to call on. And it may seem to people who have lots of support, oh, well, I don't really get that. But it's a theme I see constantly. Of course, then there are people who feel very reluctant to leave their children with other people. They're worried, they don't trust them. They feel that they shouldn't be doing it. They can't accept help. That's another thing. But I would really have a very deep look at the psychological situation. Are you both ready to do that? And the couple may be saying, oh yeah, that's fine, I'm ready to do that. Where they're not actually. maybe a guy goes for a drink with a friend down the pub, or he goes to a sporting event with a male friend, or goes for a run and talks honestly. And actually, there's a lot of fear in a second child. It might be a third child, might be a fourth child, but an additional sibling in the family. And it's a time where slowly, when it's ready, it might require some couples therapy coaching, which I've done, or it might just require encouraging a very honest conversation between the couple. And then it may require a prompt to continue that honest conversation on a smaller scale quite regularly. Um, it's heartbreaking for some people when they can't have a second, or, as I say, maybe third child. Maybe they've got three boys and they're trying for that girl, or vice versa. Um, and it can be extraordinarily traumatic, stressful, almost to the point of being debilitating. And then, again, I've had conversations with clients of mine. They're not really enjoying the baby or the toddler or the child they have, because they are all consumed, and I have seen it, all consumed with having a second child. And sometimes they're not aware of it, other times they become slowly aware that they're of course bathing and feeding and looking after the existing child, but they're not joyful. They're not enjoying that much longed for child in some cases as they might do. Don't be afraid to ask for support. And as I say, I have many different avenues of working with people. It can be short term, it can be medium or long term, whatever the requirements are. But I'm a very open, supportive, and extremely knowledgeable expert within my field. So if you need a little extra help, coaching, guidance, please do contact me and have an initial chat, see how you feel, and we can take it from there. Thank you.